Someone sent me a comment this week that stopped me cold. A person named @B_ARETE, who has OCD, they said that when they skip their medication, their entire decision-making changes because of their brain chemistry, and they wanted to know whether that means they have free will. @B_ARETE, this video is for you. And I think a lot of people watching right now have asked the exact same question. Because this is not a philosophy debate. This is a real person asking whether God can see them clearly, through the noise of their own brain. Meet Maya, 26 years old, a believer her whole life. 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with OCD. On her medication, Maya feels like herself. Off it, her thoughts spiral in directions she hates. And she finds herself doing things she does not want to do. She asked her pastor whether her biology was affecting her free will. He gave her a Sunday school answer, and she left more confused than before. @B_ARETE asked the same question, and this video is the answer I wish both of them had received. And I want to start by taking the neuroscience case against free will completely seriously. In 1983, a neuroscientist named Benjamin Libet ran an experiment that shook the scientific world. Subjects were asked to flex their wrist at whatever moment they chose, and to note the exact millisecond they became aware of their urge to move. What he found disturbed him. The brain was already preparing the action, 550 milliseconds before the person was conscious of wanting to move. Before you are aware of your own intention, your brain has already begun executing it. Think about what that means. The you that feels like it is freely choosing may simply be watching a movie your brain already filmed. Sam Harris seized on this in his 2012 book on free will. His argument is brutal because every thought, mood, and intention you have emerges from processes you did not choose. You are not the true author of your actions. He compares a criminal to a broken clock. Punishing them, he says, makes as much sense as punishing a hurricane. If he is right, the implications for Maya are devastating. If her brain chemistry shifts when she skips medication and her decisions change with it, then which Maya is the real one? And in OCD, the neuroscience gets even darker. There is a specific circuit in the brain connecting the frontal lobes to the deep, structures responsible for managing thoughts and signaling when an action is complete. In most people, this loop runs smoothly. In someone with OCD, this loop gets trapped. The brain's error detection system fires continuously, sending a signal that something is wrong, that the danger has not passed, that the action must be repeated. The person knows rationally the thought is irrational, but the biological signal refuses to stop. Researchers call this brain lock. The brain cannot shift gears, and the person is imprisoned inside a loop they did not choose and cannot easily exit. If you are getting value from this, please hit subscribe before we go any further. We are genuinely trying to grow this community, and 90% of you watching right now are not subscribed yet. It costs nothing, and it genuinely helps us keep making content like this. But here is where the story turns. Because the man who ran the experiment that seemed to destroy free will did not conclude that free will is an illusion. Benjamin Libet noticed something in his own data. Yes, the brain's preparation began 550 milliseconds before movement, but the person's conscious awareness arrived 200 milliseconds before movement. That gap is not nothing. That is the window where the conscious self can say no. Libet called this the veto function. While we may not originate our impulses, we retain the capacity to cancel them. He called it free won't. The self is not the initiator, but it is the gatekeeper. Then, in 2012, a researcher named Aaron Scherger reanalyzed Libet's original data and found something critical. The preparation signal Libet measured was not a committed, unconscious decision. It was random neural noise, reaching a threshold, the brain drifting, not choosing. The Libet experiment was not measuring moral decision-making. It was measuring meaningless, unprompted movement. Then came the finding nobody is talking about. In 2018, researcher Uri Maus studied what happens in the brain during real, consequential moral choices, like deciding which charity receives a large donation. When they looked for the preparation signal, it was strikingly absent. The pre-decision buildup disappeared when the choice actually mattered. Let that sink in. The neuroscientific argument against free will only applies to choices where you do not care what you choose. The moment a decision becomes morally meaningful, the signal simply stops showing up. But Maya's question is still not fully answered. Because even if free will exists in the abstract, does her OCD short-circuit it in ways she cannot prevent? This is where neuroscience offers a distinction that most Christian responses completely miss. Researchers who study OCD have identified a critical difference between thoughts that feel alien to the person and thoughts that feel like a genuine expression of who they are. Egosyntonic means the thought feels like you. Ego-dystonic means the thought feels like an intruder. In OCD, the intrusive thoughts are ego-dystonic. The person does not want them. They find them horrifying, morally offensive to their own sense of self. The person with OCD is not discovering what they secretly want. They are a victim of a biological process generating thoughts they actively hate. I want to know where you are landing on this. Drop a comment below. I genuinely read every one, and your perspective shapes what I investigate next. 2,000 years before neuroscience existed, a man described this exact experience. In Romans chapter 7, Paul writes, "I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do." Read that again, slowly. Paul is not describing theological confusion. He is describing a biological experience, a conscious self whose values point one direction, while some internal force pulls the other way. He calls himself a prisoner to the law of sin, not a willing participant, a prisoner. Modern neuroscience calls this dual process theory to competing systems: fast, automatic, habit-driven, and slow, deliberate, values-based. Paul described the war between these systems without a single piece of laboratory equipment. And notice what Paul does not say. He does not say, "Therefore I have no free will." He names the war and refuses to surrender either his agency or his biology. He is not resolving the tension. He is living inside it. Now, I want to show you something the neuroscience conversation almost never touches. The English Bible often translates the Hebrew word lev as heart. But lev is not just emotion. In the Old Testament, lev covers cognition, reasoning, will, and the faculty of choosing. It is the sum total of the inner person. And God does not observe the lev from a distance. He searches it. He examines it. He speaks directly to it. So when God examines a person with OCD, He is not looking at the chaotic output of a dysregulated nervous system and calling that you. He is looking at the lev, the place that hates the intrusive thought, the place that cries out, "This is not who I want to be." That is what God is addressing. If you want to support what we do beyond just watching, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. Even $1 genuinely helps us keep making content like this. Completely optional, but it means a lot. And there is one more piece of this that almost no one brings into this conversation. In Numbers chapter 15, God gave Israel a law distinguishing between two fundamentally different types of sin. The first is called shojig, unintentional, done without rebellious motive, acting out of ignorance, weakness, or being trapped by circumstance. For shogig sin, God provided a clear path for atonement. There was a way home. The second is called Yad Ramah, sinning with a high hand, an upraised fist, deliberate, defiant rebellion, not weakness, not biology, not being trapped. For Yad Ramah, no sacrificial path. The person was cut off. Do you understand what God built into the foundation of His legal code? A category that explicitly distinguishes between people trapped by their limitations and people defiantly choosing evil. That distinction existed long before any court system thought of it. Jesus said the same thing to the Pharisees. If you were blind, you would have no sin. Moral responsibility is tied to capacity and knowledge. The one who genuinely cannot see is judged differently. So where does all of this leave us? The question is not, does my biology affect my decisions? It obviously does. The real question is, does my biology eliminate the real me? Because biology is the battlefield, but it is not the verdict. Your brain chemistry shapes the conditions under which you choose. It does not replace you as the one choosing. The person inside the noise is still there. OCD does not live in the lev. OCD is the noise. You are the one who hates the noise. And that is what God sees. To @B_Aret. And to everyone watching who sent that same question in silence, your biology is real. Your OCD is real. And it matters to the God who designed that brain. But your horror at the thoughts you do not want is also real. Your desire to honor God is also real. The war inside you is not evidence that you have no will. It is evidence that two things are fighting for the same person, and the one fighting for you is stronger than the biology fighting against you. If this video opens something up for you, I have another one linked right here that I think you will want to watch next. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Thank you genuinely for watching.